Hello class, this case study is the Interdiction in Afghanistan. So the circumstance is a group of Navy SEALs were given intel about a terrorist group that would be coming along this road, and they were given an approximate time and approximate location. So the Lieutenant Commander Reynolds, the SEAL commander, placed a team together to get a group of helicopters in and possibly take over or destroy these vehicles. They planned on going in the morning. They went when it's low light. They found the vehicles, two of them. They saw that the fire was coming on them, so they fired upon the vehicles. They couldn't find the third, so they went to down the road and found the third, in which they found a woman holding a baby. The person on the gun was in a situation where they were about to fire on, but the SEAL commander saw the child and decided not to fire upon the vehicle. The issue lies in the fact that if Lieutenant Commander Reynolds was wrong, they would be putting the whole mission at risk if this was firing one of the SA-7 rockets and could have taken out the entire Army platoon in the helicopter. So we are going to justify what we think, how right the commander is or how wrong the commander is, using the moral justifications.
Okay, first up, utilitarianism. That basically means how to obtain the greatest amount of happiness for the most people by, in this case, by not shooting and risking the life of everyone on the helicopter. The U.S. killing civilians will make the whole world mad, not to mention the people who are related to and know the civilians. And so the best way to approach this as a utilitarian would be to not shoot and to risk the military members and spare whoever is in the truck. In this case, it happened to be civilians. For Kantian ethics, if Lieutenant Commander Reynolds knew that the people at the truck were civilians, then he had a moral obligation to prevent the door gunner from shooting, which is what he did. Killing terrorists is okay under Kantian ethics because terrorists have forfeited their right to life by killing and actually terrorizing civilians and non-combatants. So if the people in the truck were who they were looking for, then he would have been totally okay with allowing the door gunner to shoot. But because Commander Reynolds had the instinct and he could see in a split second that they were civilians, he had to stop the door gunner. This is the flow chart for Kantian ethics, the categorical imperatives. So could it be a universal law? Kill civilians in order to protect the safety of troops? No, it could not be a universal law. And if we move to the second one, does it treat people as an end and not merely as a means? Again, that fails. So because it fails the first categorical imperative, it fails the test for morality for Kantian ethics.
For natural law, we have basically life and the sort of predisposed areas where people have rights and liberties. In this case, killing civilians is a violation of natural law because it is wrong to kill, and the civilians are innocent because they are not active terrorists or people who, in this case, are acting in malice towards the helicopter or the door gunner or Lieutenant Commander Reynolds and his crew. So by saving the lives of the woman and baby that they're holding, they are following natural law in the sense that they should not kill the civilian. For this, we also have the principle of double effect. So is the act permissible? Is killing a woman and baby permissible? No, it does not. It's not permissible. It's forbidden. Is bad effect unavoidable? It's avoidable because you don't kill the baby. So the rest of the stuff is basically negligible because it fails the first level. Killing the woman and infant is not permissible by double effect or natural law.
Okay, so what would Aristotle say? He believed in virtue and he believed in a spectrum when approaching a situation. Both extreme ends of the spectrum would be being overly brave or being cowardly, and virtue is somewhere in the middle, and that includes assessing and taking the smartest approach to a situation. So in this case study, when the helicopter came around the mountains, they spotted the truck, and they only had a split second to decide whether it was hostile or not. And just a second is all it needs for the SA-7 to shoot a helicopter. And so in this case, the team, Commander Reynolds, did not have the luxury of time to deeply assess and come up with a good solution to the situation. Instead, Commander Reynolds had only a split second to assess the situation, and in this case, he assessed it correctly. He saw that they were civilians, and he knew that they shouldn't shoot, and so he put his hand in front of the door gunner, and he stopped them from shooting, which the door gunner was about to do per his instinct. So in this case, Lieutenant Commander Reynolds passed Aristotle's ethics by being virtuous in his decision to stop the door gunner. Constitutional paradigm. In this case, there's a list of priorities as service members. And that goes Constitution, mission, service, command, teammate, and self. So by sparing the civilians, Commander Reynolds was putting the mission, which was to eliminate the terrorists, but more so the overall mission of the presence of the U.S. military in Afghanistan is to win the approval and trust of the people of Afghanistan. And so if Reynolds had wanted to just play it safe and go ahead and shoot at the civilians just in case, then he would be hurting the overall mission of the United States in Afghanistan. And overall, it would be detrimental to the big picture that they're trying to achieve. And so by showing that, by making the correct decision and showing restraint on the part of the helicopter crew, he did the right thing, and he put the mission over himself. He also put the mission over his teammates, in this case by risking their safety. But he did meet the right hierarchy for loyalties. So in this set of rules, Commander Reynolds also did the right thing.
As far as religion and military ethics goes, in most religions, popular religions like Roman Catholics, Buddhism, and even in Islam, killing is wrong. And since we're not talking about war in the sense, we're talking about military personnel to innocent civilian and child. So we have Roman Catholic, thou shalt not kill, one of the 10 commandments. Buddhism, righteousness to action itself and bring about no harm to individual or self. So do not harm anyone or yourself is in Buddhism. In Islam, and do not kill one another, for God is indeed merciful unto you. With all those said, per religion, there's no reason that the door gunner should be blasting a woman and child with a machine gun or a machine gun. As far as military goes, the rules of engagement said you must have positive identification. In this case, the SEAL commander has decades of experience with pop-ups for civilian versus combatant, years of experience with split-second decisions. So in this case, that fraction of a second where he said that's a civilian, that's a child, was enough positive identification in his case to say, put the hand in front of the gunner and do not fire upon that area or person. And for the second one, for rules of engagement, it says do not engage anyone who has surrendered. In this case, the woman is holding her child in front of her face. She's saying, please do not shoot upon me. I am a civilian. I have a child. So in that case, they have surrendered. In both cases, for military ethics, it fails upon firing upon them, and you should save the civilian in this case.
Okay, so what's the justification for going to war? The United States invaded Afghanistan as a response to the attack on September 11th. President Bush decided that we would invade Afghanistan in order to eliminate the Taliban, who was aiding Al-Qaeda. So it was from the President of the United States. That's a legitimate authority. The cause, Al-Qaeda were the ones who organized the terrorist attack, the Twin Towers, resulting in 3,000 civilians being killed. So in order to eliminate them, that is a just cause. The intention is to eliminate terrorists, and that goes with the quote from the textbook, avoidance of evil. And so because terrorism is considered evil, they did have the right intention for invading Afghanistan. So overall, the war was justified. Moral code of the warrior. Basically, code of the warrior when it comes to civilians, non-combatants, prisoners of war, don't kill them. When you're fighting an enemy that's shooting back at you, kill them. But once they surrender, then you're done. If it's a civilian, you don't touch them. In this case, super clear cut in that they were civilians, it's obvious not to shoot them. However, the gray area is the fact that they had half a second when they came around the corner to decide if the truck, who they were looking for, a third truck, whether that truck was civilians or combatants. So again, it's obvious he didn't kill the civilians. That follows the moral code of the warrior. So Lieutenant Commander Reynolds is completely justified in this area for what he decided to do with his actions.
As far as rights and liberty, all people should be free. This is the state of being free. So these people just haplessly driving down on a truck to Pakistan, they're with their families, they think it's just another trip. And then a freaking helicopter comes around the bend and starts about to fire upon them. This totally disregards their right to being free and right to just being helpless civilians. They're not trying to cause evil upon anyone. They're not trying to kill anyone. They're just haplessly driving down to Pakistan. So they do have a right to be free. And as far as rights go, they have a right to live. Rights are more so for the state, so state or country. In this case, for the country they're living in, there's no reason why someone should have their right to be taken away because they think that they are a terrorist, in the case where they're positively identified and that they surrendered and they wish to be spared. War is an ever-adapting environment. Situations change, so if she pulled out an SA-7 rocket after she put down the baby, then she would become a positive target and they would fire upon her. but in this case, she surrendered. The SEAL teams ran over, positively identified that they are civilians, they mean no harm, and they went about their day.
So overall, the situation, Lieutenant Commander Reynolds passed all of our ethical tests. In all way, we found his decision to halt the door gunner morally justified, and he had an ethical duty to do so. The dilemma is that he made the decision to prevent the door gunner in a split second, and the crew of the helicopter, everyone inside of it, came very close to potentially dying because of that split second made by that individual. And the Army major was upset with Reynolds after that because it was so close. He was clearly rattled from the situation, but he just simply did not have the same kind of experience that Lieutenant Commander Reynolds had as a SEAL, and positive identification of targets in such a fast time. So really, they were just doing their job. Reynolds knew what he was doing, and he was doing what he was trained to do. And it was just a dicey situation. But overall, he made the right decision, not only for his team, but also for the overall mission of the United States in Afghanistan. Thank you.
Thank you.